So we've got quite a bit of Iran news in the last few days, although it doesn't seem to be getting a ton of attention compared to previous escalations in U.S.-Iran tensions. I wonder if the media has gotten bored with the whole story of U.S. and Iran tensions just continually ramping up, because it keeps happening at a pretty steady pace. And of course, we know that the media is not too big on, at least in the U.S., on reporting international news, so perhaps that's part of it. But the latest is that Iran has apparently seized an oil tanker, much in the same way that the UK seized an Iranian oil tanker. However, this tanker does not appear to be British. This oil tanker is Panamanian flagged, but of course, if you know anything about international shipping, where a ship is flagged doesn't really have anything to do with where the ship is from or who owns it. The owner of the ship is apparently a private entity, but it's unclear who that is. They haven't come out and spoken publicly, to my knowledge. Apparently, the ship was leaving the UAE, a port there, when it was captured by the Iranians. And the UAE, interestingly enough, reported that it was missing. Now, I think that there's a lot here that we still don't know, because this isn't making much sense to me at the moment, just with the facts that we have. Why would the UAE be the ones to report it stolen and not, say, the folks who own the ship? Where are the people who own the ship? That's a good question. And of course, it's completely unclear why Iran would have seized the ship. This can't be really related to the whole UK seizure of the Iranian ship, which I thought had been already released, but apparently they are still trying to work that out, although the UK appeared to have come to an agreement with Iran for releasing that ship before. I'm not sure what the holdup is now, but either way, this ship here doesn't seem to be connected to the United Kingdom in any way. So I can't see this being somehow related to that whole situation. The ship's not even related to the European Union, who the UK claims to have been acting on behalf of. The ship is not related to the United States. And until yesterday, Iran hadn't even admitted that they had seized the ship. Iran had said on Tuesday that they had not seized the ship at all, and that the ship had apparently broken down, and that Iran had towed them into port for repairs. They said there was absolutely no truth to the report that they had seized the ship on Sunday. But now here we are on Friday, and they didn't confirm that they had seized it till yesterday. So that's that's half the week went by with Iran denying this. So not only why do we need to know why they seized it, but why would they deny it for 4 days? I mean, did it get a little bloody? Did they accidentally kill a few people and they're afraid to admit it? Are they trying to come up with some kind of cover? I mean, it just, none of this makes any sense. Now, still even weirder is Iran's justification now that they admit that they seized the ship. They say that they seized the ship because they suspected it of smuggling contraband oil. Now, that's pretty ironic, considering that normally it's the Iranians who are the ones trying to smuggle contraband oil into other countries, because Iran is under pretty heavy sanctions by much of the world, i.e. the United States, and their only way really of selling their oil is by smuggling it out into countries as contraband. So I find it pretty funny that they're mad at some other ship for smuggling contraband oil. But what do they mean by contraband oil? Where did this oil come from that they're smuggling? This ship apparently left the port in the UAE. Are the Iranians implying that that Iran is somehow sanctioning the UAE? I mean, that doesn't make sense, because they're not seizing every ship that comes out of the UAE. Iran could never do that. What do they mean by that? Do they mean somehow that this ship was carrying Iranian oil and that and that Iran is helping enforce U.S. sanctions? That doesn't make sense either. Obviously, we don't have all the information. Iran has been lying about this situation apparently this whole week, so I guess it's still possible that they're lying about this justification, but why wouldn't they come up with something that's plausible? Why are they bringing more and more suspicion onto themselves? Especially when it appears that they're trying to give in to the U.S. quite a bit. Iran announced around this same time this week that they are open to new negotiations with the U.S. for a new nuclear deal, meaning they're willing to throw out the existing Iran deal, which before they had said they would only discuss negotiating with the U.S. to get them back into the existing deal. They would not start over. Iran is now saying they're willing to start over if the U.S. Offers sanctions relief. So why would Iran go about with this whole tanker seizure and give this very confusing and muddled response to international inquiries into the seizure of this tanker? Why wouldn't they be 100% honest and if they have a reasonable reason for seizing this tanker, why wouldn't they say it? And if it was unreasonable, their rationale for seizing this tanker, why would they not have a better lie in place? Why are they fumbling this so bad? Now, of course, whatever that overture from Iran with respect to their willing to negotiate a new nuclear deal was worth, it probably has been negated this week by the U.S. The U.S. Navy shooting down an Iranian drone in the Persian Gulf. Of course, it wasn't too long ago that the U.S. was very upset with Iran for shooting down an American drone in the Persian Gulf, saying that the drone was in international waters and that Iran had no right to shoot it down, and Iran saying that the drone had been in, Iranian airspace, and they did have a right to shoot it down, and they gave it so many warnings. And now we're hearing a repeat of the same story, except the U.S. is admitting that the drone was over international waters when they shot it down. The Iranian drone, that is. And they also say that they gave them many warnings to get away. I guess they were mad because it was flying too close to a U.S. vessel. Apparently, they said that this was a semi-submersible vessel. I'm not a naval buff, so I assume that that's not a submarine. I assume that that's something that does not spend months under the water's surface, maybe something more akin to a U-boat. But if the vessel was submerged at the time that this incident occurred, perhaps the Iranian drone didn't even have a visual on the U.S. craft. So perhaps the Iranian drone pilot saw no reason why the U.S. was telling them to move about and get away. I mean, in such a congested area as the Persian Gulf, I'm sure you have aerial vehicles flying overhead of naval vessels every day. So I'm not so sure what was so threatening about this particular drone that the U.S. felt they had to shoot it down, but it's very interesting that they regard this as a defensive action and that they regard the Iran shooting down a U.S. drone as an attack. The situations obviously are not exactly the same, but it seems to me like if an Iranian boat had shot down a U.S. drone over international waters, we would have heard an equal amount of outrage as the U.S. expressed over the previous U.S. drone being shot down over international waters. Now, thankfully, all of this mischief, I guess you could say, that's been going on both sides, orchestrated both by the U.S. and Iran, it hasn't seemed to have led to any noticeable increase in tensions, which is kind of positive. It seems that this is just being regarded as normal. The seizure of this vessel by Iran and the downing of the drone by the U.S. Neither side is really reacting too extremely to either of these incidents. In fact, Iran has denied that their drone was shot down at all. They say that they had no drones that were shot down that day, and they don't know who that drone belonged to that the U.S. had shot down. Now, it could just be that Iran is denying it, but I don't see why Iran would deny this, why they wouldn't say, hey, we were attacked by the U.S., this is unfair. Why would they deny it unilaterally? There's a lot of very confusing messaging going on out of Iran this week that I really don't understand. So I'm going to keep an eye on this and try and figure out what exactly is going on, and hopefully we'll know more by next week. So if you gained anything of value out of this video, I'd appreciate you clicking that like button and subscribing. And if you do subscribe, please do click the bell because I do upload every day, and I'd hate to have you miss one. So I'll see you folks back here tomorrow.